Hello guys, welcome to today's class. So today we'll be looking at function of a function, and we are going to derive the chain rule for differentiation. So suppose we know that y is a function of u, and u itself is also a function of x. How do we find the derivative of y with respect to x? So in other words, if you say that given that y is equal to f of u and u is equal to h of x. So then what is dy dx? By simple rearrangement, we can write that the change in y is over the change in x equal to the change in y over what? The change in u times the change in u over change in x. So where that the change in u is not equal to 0, and also that the change in what? X is not equal to 0. So now we can say that the limit when change in x tends to 0, change in y over change in x is equal to the limit when change in x tends to 0, change in y over change in u times change in u over change in x. So now this is equal to change in u over change in change in y over change in u times, the limit when change in x tends to 0, and the limit when change in x tends to 0, change in y over change in u times the limit when change in u, the limit when change in x also tends to 0, change in u over change in x. So remember that as change in x approaches 0, change in u also approaches what? 0. So we can write that the limit when change in x approaches 0, change in y over change in u, as the limit when change in u approaches 0, change in y over change in what? U. So now the limit when change in x approaches 0 of change in y over change in x, which is dy dx, is equal to the limit when change in u approaches 0, change in y over change in u times the limit when change in x approaches 0, change in u over change in x. So henceforth, we can derive the chain rule that states that dy dx is equal to dy du times du dx. So this is called the chain rule for differentiation. It is called what? The chain rule for what? Differentiation. This is called the chain rule for differentiation. So whenever you come across function of a function, apply what? The chain rule. And this is the formula to apply the chain rule, which states that dy dx is equal to what? Dy du times du dx. So I'm going to show you how to apply the. So now the question says find the derivative of each of the following. The first question says that y is equal to, all in bracket, 3x squared minus 2, bracket close, raised to power 3. The second question says y equal to the square root of in bracket 1 minus 2x cubed. The third question said that y is equal to 5 over all in bracket 6 minus x squared raised to power 3. The fourth question says y is equals to 1 over root in bracket 1 plus root 2. So now this is a function of a function, and to solve this, to find the derivative of this function, you need to apply what? The chain rule. So now let's attempt the first question. The first question says, given that y is equal to 3x squared minus 2 raised to power 3. Now, we can say that let u be this function just 3x squared minus 2. So let u be 3x squared minus 2. You can call this one equation. Okay, let's call it equation 1. And we can also say that then y will be equal to u raised to power 3. So since u is equal to 3x squared minus 2, then y will be equal to u raised to u and y will be equal to u raised to power 3. So you can also call this one equation 2. Now from equation 1, we can say that du dx, this is equation 1. Du dx, if we differentiate du dx, it will be what? Differentiate 3x squared gives you what? 6x. So if you differentiate minus 2 is 0. So we have what? 6x. Now from equation 2, which states that y is equal to u raised to power 3. dy du will be equal to, if you differentiate u raised to power 3 to give you what? 3u squared, right? 3u squared. Now, we can now apply the chain rule formula that states that dy dx will be equal to dy du times du dx. So now dy dx will be dy du is, this is dy du, 3u. So you can say 3u squared times du dx. Du dx is 6x times 6x. So if we multiply 3u squared times 6x, what you have is 18x u squared. So now remember that the value for u is equal to 3x squared minus 2. So now you can substitute the value for u and say that dy dx will be equal to 18x. The value for u, don't forget, is 3x squared minus u. So we have to put it in bracket. 18x in bracket 3x squared minus 2 raised to power what? 2. So now this is the derivative of the first question, applying what? The chain rule. So now feel free to pause the video and try the second question. Minus 2x cubed. Root 1 minus 2x cubed. So remember that this function can also be written as y being equal to 1 minus 2x cubed raised to power 1 over 2. This is fractional index law according to the law of what? In indices. So now we can say that let u be equal to 1 minus 2x cubed. We can call it equation 1. And now, we can also say that then y will be equal to, since u is equal to 1 minus 2x cubed, y will be equal to u raised power 1 over 2. U raised power 1 over 2. So now, from equation 1, this is equation, okay, let's call this one equation 2. So now, from equation 1, du dx will be equal to, differentiate 1 will give you 0. So differentiate minus 2x cubed will give you minus 6x squared. So now, also now, from equation 2, we can say that dy du will be equal to, if you differentiate u raised to power 1 over 2, you have 1 over 2 times u raised power 1 over 2 minus 1. Now 1 over 2 minus, this is equal to 1 over 2 minus 1. So we have 1 over 2 u, 1 over 2 minus 1 is minus 1 over 2. Now let me show you little tricks in indices. So we can simplify this 1 over 2 u raised to power minus 1 over 2 further. Remember, according to the negative fractional law of indices, u raised power minus 1 over 2 can also be written as 1 over u raised power 1 over 2. And 1 u raised power 1 over 2 is equal to root u. So therefore, this can also be written as, we can say that dy du will be equal to 1 over 2 times 1 over root u. So this is equal to 1 times 1 gives you 1, 2 times root u give you root 2 root u. So we have 1 over 2 root u. So now we can say that dy dx, you can apply what? The chain rule formula. Dy dx will be equal to dy du times du dx. So this will be equal, dy dx will be equal to, dy du is 1 over 2 root u times du dx, which is minus 6x squared, minus 6x squared. So now remember, in every number there's divisible over 1. So if we multiply this, we have that dy dx will be equal to minus 6x squared over 2 root u. So now 2 can cancel itself, 1, 2 can cancel, minus, it gives you what? Minus 3. So this is equal to minus 3x squared divided by root u. So now we can substitute the value of u, which is 1 minus 2x cubed. So therefore dy dx will be equal to minus 3x squared over root 1 minus 2x cubed. So this is the derivative of this function. So now we can say that let u be equal to 6 minus x squared. So now we can say that then y will be equal to what? 5 over u raised to power what? 3. Let's call this equation 1 and call this equation 2. Now from equation 1, this is equation 1, du dx will be equal to differentiate 6 minus x squared. If you differentiate 6, since it's a constant, it gives you 0. Differentiate minus x squared gives you what? Minus 2x. From equation 2, we can say that dy du will be equal to, remember that 5 over u raised by 3 is equal to 5 times 1 over u raised to the power 3. So 5 over u raised by 3 can also be written as 5 times 1 over u raised by 3. So 5 times 1 gives you the 5. So now this can also be written as 5 times u raised to the power minus 3, according to the negative law of what? Indices, the negative index law. So this can be written as this. So now we can say that this is 5u raised to the power minus 3. So now we can say dy du will be equal to, if you differentiate 5u raised to the power minus 3, you will get minus 15u raised to the power minus 3 minus 1 will give you what? It will give you minus 4. So now we can apply what? The chain rule formula, which states that dy dx is equal to dy du times du dx. So now dy dx is equal to dy du is minus 15u raised to the power minus 4 times du dx. From equation 1, du dx is minus 2x. So if we multiply minus 15u raised to the power minus 4 times minus 2x, we can say that dy dx will be equal to 30x u raised to the power minus 4. Minus 15 times minus 2 gives you plus 30. So you have plus 30x u raised to the power minus 4. So now we can say that dy dx is also written as 30x times u raised to the power minus 4. And remember that u raised to the power minus 4 can also be written as 1 over u raised to the power what? 4. So we can say that dy dx is equal to 30x times 1 over u raised to the power 4. And if you multiply this, you can say that dy dx is equal to 30x over u raised to the power 4. So now we can substitute the value of u, which is 6 minus x squared. So we substitute the minus u and the value of u, which is 6 minus x squared. You can say that dy dx will be equal to 30x over u is 6 minus x squared raised to the power 4. So this is the derivative of this function. So now I want you to do this question Find the derivative of y equal to 5 over, no, we've attempted this one. So now find the derivative of y equal to 1 over 1 plus x square. So now, after using follow the method the way I solved this and attempt this question. Once you get your answer, drop your answer in the comment section. Drop your answer in the comment section. So please like, share, subscribe. On our next class, we are going to talk about the product rule. We'll also talk about the quotient rule and also talk about application and several things you learn in calculus. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you on our next class.